Hello and welcome back to the Formula 1 chat. Today we will be discussing whether Formula 1 has become too predictable in 2023. Now, this season has been dominated by Red Bull, as we spoke about in Friday's video, so we won't touch too much on that today. Obviously it will be relevant to the discussion, but we sort of want to talk about, is Formula 1 becoming too predictable? Because in previous seasons, by this point, we would have seen multiple winners, multiple challenges, loads of different podium sitters, loads of different point scorers. But we've not really seen that so far this season. We've seen the same team win every single round, which is sort of mental, isn't it? Yeah. The same team win every race.
But it's kind of taken me back to a few years ago when we had the nailed-on podium of Ham Verbot.
Yeah.
And this year we very
Ver
much...
per Allo
we
at
very
times.
much had Ver per Allo or per Ver Allo or Ver Allo...
Occo.
I think that is the most not diverse podium.
Well, Verhamras.
Verhamras.
In Spain, but yeah.
I mean, Ver's there a lot, isn't he? He's all in
but
all
there's only been, 6 drivers stand up on the podium this season? I think. From off the top of my head. That makes sense, yeah. So, not many drivers have took... I don't think a Ferrari's finished in the top 3.
No.
So it has been fairly predictable so far. There's not enough randomness, other than Australia this year, but that was almost fabricated by the FIA because obviously we had that late safety car. Other than that, there's been no chaos, there's been no carnage, there's been no massive incidents or controversies. It's been fairly easy, I would say, for Red Bull.
I mean, yeah, but even if you look at what you want carnage, you look at Monaco. You got rain at Monaco.
Yeah.
The highlight of the rain was watching Lance Stroll drive just along a barrier.
It's a bit of a shame though that the wet race is Monaco. Yeah. The one round where it doesn't really make... Obviously, it meant the strategies changed and drivers struggled in the wet, and some of them binned it and hit walls and crashed into Perez, George Russell. But I don't think it wasn't a race where we could see loads of overtaking, loads of fighting. And it wasn't like Max and Alonso were close. Maybe if Aston hadn't pitted him onto dries just before they pitted onto wets, they would have been very close. But yeah, it has just become a bit predictable this season because I just think, you could say with a lot of certainty as to who will finish where.
Yeah.
Roughly. You could go, it'll be Red Bulls, then maybe Alonso, Mercedes, Ferrari, Stroll.
All our previews.
2 randomers.
Winner, Verstappen. Pole, Verstappen. Fastest lap, Verstappen.
But that's the thing. It's not even the winner that's become It's not even just the winner that's become predictable. We had that in previous seasons in the Mercedes era in 2020 and such. But Red Bull in this season are dominant, but also the rest of it is predictable to a certain degree. I don't think we've really had a race which has thrown a curveball, bar Australia, but as I say, didn't feel natural.
Because now you have your nailed on top 10 of Ferrari, Aston, Mercedes, Red Bull, Alpine. And we barely see that change apart from the lower places. But you do have, maybe Ferrari because that's not really good, but you have that nailed on bottom 6. So you have that nailed on top 6 of Red Bull, Mercedes, Aston Martin.
But even a Ferrari are there.
Yeah.
I've regularly been in the top 8.
Yeah.
So I just don't think there's many points on offer for the other teams at the moment because there are 8 drivers, almost confirmed points every race. It's only when they do stupid stuff, which does happen sometimes. In the case of Charles Leclerc, Checo Perez, George Russell's had a couple of bad qualifying.
And obviously that top 8, we only really see it shifted with DNFs, which we saw
haven't happened.
Which, as I say, we saw a lot of last year due to Ferrari's engine failures and...
it's the cars settling into the new regulations, but this year we've barely had any mechanical failures. There's just nothing. There's no spice. We've had 2 rounds this year where every driver's finished. That's unprecedented.
The only mechanical failure at the front was Russell in Australia and Leclerc in Bahrain. I don't think we've seen another mechanical failure, which I guess you don't expect from teams at the front because they are the best in the motorsport. But
you do predict it. Ferrari were the top front runners last season. I know obviously Mercedes never really struggled with their reliability, but equally they were the best team, so that makes sense.
They were so far ahead. Hamilton's car could have broke down and still win.
Even Red Bull back then, throughout the dominant days of Mercedes, even they still had mechanical failures. Same for Ferrari when they challenged them in 2018, 2019 sort of time. So it just feels that there's no unpredictability currently in the sport. Hopefully we start to see some, the grid start to get jumbled up a bit.
Yeah.
I do think now, once we get to the sort of your Monzas where you're getting grid penalties, Spa where you get grid penalties, stuff like that, we can get a bit more of a jumbled order, a few different points scorers and winners.
Without penalties, without DNFs, without anything stupid, you have your nailed on top 10 and then you're nailed on bottom 10. Yeah. And it's just what order they're in those positions.
As we said on Friday, it seems that Red Bull will win every race this year, bar any sort of major incident. Like, there's nothing to suggest Red Bull won't just win every race, because they have been so good so far. And so, I don't know, is F1 becoming too predictable? I would argue it probably is a bit from the start of the season. I do just think that we have had some of the more boring rounds.
Yeah, we have, and it'll get interesting as we get into the European leg. But I guess the other worry as well is, obviously, we say it's too predictable. We only had a regs change last season.
And we've not got another one until 2026 from the new engine regulations.
Is F1 going to stay at this kind of predictability level for the next 3 years?
No. Teams will evolve, cars will evolve, drivers will change. There's a lot that can happen over that time. I think Aston will probably close the gap up to Red Bull. Yeah. I think they're the most likely to, or Mercedes potentially. I don't think it'll be Ferrari, though. They're too incompetent. But I do think that someone must get close to Red Bull in the next 4 years. But whether they get into a point where they're actually better, I don't think they will. So they could get close to Red Bull, but then you'd expect Max Verstappen to make the difference. So I don't know if anyone will seriously challenge over the next 4 years. It'll be interesting to see. I just hope we get some sort of difference throughout this season, because if not, Red Bull are going to waltz this. Even if Red Bull do waltz it, just some difference in the order, a bit more fighting. I do think as we move into the European leg, it will be more exciting. We've got a couple sprint races thrown in there, which didn't show much when we did it in Baku, but no one's going to risk anything in Baku. The walls are too tight. You can't really make moves. As we start to move to tracks which are wider and which are more accommodating to the current era of Formula 1, hopefully we start to see more overtakes. I think Monza will hopefully provide a good race. We've seen some crackers over the years, especially recently.
Gasly and Ricciardo.
Spa has the potential to be a really good round. We know, obviously, last year Max waltzed it. Yeah. From, what?
And then the year before it rained.
13th or 14th. So they just cut through it, but
I feel... Yeah. But I also think, once you're out the European leg, gets into the season, bonkers stuff happens at the end of the season.
But also you've got some rounds that really could throw a complete curveball, like Qatar. We've raced there once. It's a bit of a dead circuit. But what if Aston turn up and are really quick there? Yeah. Las Vegas, maybe they'll throw in like halfway through the race. Everyone has to spin a roulette wheel, and whoever lands on black, they get to start on pole.
Circuit, who's going to adjust? But, George Russell won last year at Brazil. Who'd have seen that coming? Yeah. After Mercedes' horror start to last year, they recovered and they actually won a race. So who knows what's going to happen? A lot can happen.
But I will caveat that with we go to Canada next. And Canada last year was very predictable.
It was.
But there was a decent fight for the lead. Sainz was chasing Verstappen.
The speed of that Red Bulls be ridiculous on those two massive straights.
But maybe we get a fight between Alonso and Hamilton. So all we've got to pray for is that those two are close. But realistically, it's probably going to be Max pole. It's probably going to be Checo P2. Unless Ebert's in the gravel. P3. Probably either Alonso or Lewis.
Perez did go off at Canada last year, didn't he, in qualifying?
He goes off a lot. That was in the wet, to be fair. Which we know he struggles in the wet weather.
Yeah, he went just straight on, though. He
did do that. But, yeah, I think it's going to be... Hopefully, after Canada, we start to get into some more interesting races. I believe it's Austria after that, no?
Which, Red Bull will dominate.
Or maybe, it might be Britain, actually.
I was going to say. But
I don't know. Yeah, it's Austria, then Britain, then Hungary, Belgium.
I think that's
5 rounds in 7
Hamilton and Russell could do something in their home Grand Prix. Probably not, because Max pisses every year as long as he's not chucked into a barrier at 51 Gs.
Maybe. I think obviously the Red Bull is incredibly strong, so that's going to be difficult to challenge. But if both Mercedes are up there, we saw how last year they managed to. Well, Ferrari managed to beat Red Bull. I mean, it did help Max Verstappen ran over some debris and picked up a puncture, but Sainz still got his first win. He still had to be there to win it. Leclerc probably would have got P2 if Sainz didn't leave him for dead.
And then
Ferrari didn't. Exactly.
Which, to be fair, we saw one of the best battles we've seen in a very long time between 3 drivers. An iconic piece of commentary.
And then after Britain, we go Hungary and Belgium. Hungary.
Max is going to win both them.
Hungary was unpredictable last year. It was provided quite a good race, and the
Max
year
won.
before that, Bottas went bowling. So
I thought I could go bowling again.
because Max lined up 9th last year and won. The year before that, Max lined up P2 and got bowled out.
Yeah, I think everyone got bowled out.
By
Lando,
yeah, exactly.
Perez, Max. Everyone got Hamilton basically
And
got bowled out. Yeah.
Ocon smashed it. But I do think Hungary can provide a bit of chaos. We've seen that in the past. Because even regardless of that last incident, last year was still chaotic. Max Verstappen made like loads of overtakes, spun, and still went on to win. Which was an incredible drive from him. But you do just think maybe Hungary can provide a curveball. Because there's not a lot of room at Hungary. It's a bit of a weird track. And you do just... I mean, every year there seems to be weird things happening.
I mean, Hamilton was able to take the lights 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So anything can happen when we go Hungary.
That was such an iconic picture.
And then Spa, I think if the cars can follow decent... I mean, the times they follow decently well this year. Either's not well.
But I feel like Max Verstappen would just run away and set
He will. The Red Bulls will fuck off. But if Mercedes, Aston, Ferrari are close... That could be fun. Alonso and Hamilton clashed here last year.
Scenes again.
Alonso Hamilton clashed here last year. Could they do it this year? Who knows? But it's going to be interesting. Then we head, after that, summer break, and then to Netherlands, which I think we should just not turn up. Like everyone else should just not turn up for. Just let Max coast it, because
Netherlands,
probably what's going to happen.
The crowd would probably be just singing Max, Max, Max.
Yeah.
The whole race.
But
he'll be 30 seconds clear anyone.
Not quite the gap by that point.
Yeah.
Hopefully we actually see some difference, because so far this season we haven't really. It's been very predictable.
For me, Vegas and Qatar could throw curveballs, and the European leg could be interesting.
Yeah, is there anywhere else we haven't been? Not really. Singapore's got every opportunity to just do something mental. Japan, maybe. Last year was quite chaotic, if I remember correctly.
Wasn't it rain?
It was just a pure shit show.
Water. Because it was the half race where Max won the championship, but no one won the championship.
Yeah, because they got to half distance, meaning it qualified for full championship points, which people didn't think it would, and that won the championship.
So then, what's his face? Jonathan Wheatley was sat there adding up points. Did a bit of math.
I think it was Jonathan Wheatley that would have done it.
Well, they were double checking it.
I would have imagined it was the F1.
No, just Jonathan Wheatley. I trusted what he said. He lied.
Yeah, whatever you say, Jonathan. But yeah, go ahead, Jonathan. But I do just, I hope we get the rest of the season, which is a lot less predictable.
I think we will.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Canada winner? Latifi, back from the dead? Stroll?
Sargent.
Nah, Stroll's more interesting. Home race.
Sargent's
already had his home race, and he didn't go out, did he? Didn't crash in Miami, because that was one of the 2 rounds of the season where everyone finished. But I think a Stroll Canada win on the cards. Helmut Marko could win his home race in Austria.
Alonso's in second, defending like a lion.
Just hold him off.
Yeah.
Tell lads to fight like a lion.
Turning left and right across the track.
Weaving. He picked up so many penalties that he gets banned for Austria. The Dragovic has to take the car.
God.
Gets disqualified. But no. Exciting. So hopefully we haven't exciting rest of the season.
I think it'll get better.
But I do agree with the notion that it's been predictable and quite boring so far. Because genuinely, first 7 rounds of the season.
Equally, I think last year
not a good race in there.
If Leclerc hadn't kept blowing up.
Was it though? Because Ferrari and Red Bull were trading wins at the start of last year, quite consistently.
And then Leclerc put it in the wall in France, blew up in Baku, blew up in Spain.
But you could argue the same for Max blowing up in Bahrain and Australia. So
Max didn't blow up in Bahrain.
He did.
Did he? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
From P2.
So and then Perez.
And then obviously Ferrari took a 1-2 and
everyone thought they'd win the championship.
Hamilton, Russell 3-4. But I'll put it this way: Max Verstappen didn't lead by 53 points.
Perez.
To his teammate this year, so this time last year, or any year so far. But yeah, it's going to hopefully be a better rest of the season.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's about all for today, though. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, and of course, subscribe if you're new around here. If you want to get involved with our conversation today, then please do get involved in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys what your opinions are on everything we've discussed today. Is F1 too predictable? And do you want to see Lance Stroll win his home Grand Prix? If you say no, you're dead to us. But yeah, that is all from us today. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.